Hello, I'm Isabelle Sykes, and I'm here to talk to you about the power of the underdog. Underdogs are all around us, from inspirational people, books, movies, even in wars. An underdog is a person who has been previously looked down by the world, but we're able to rise, become our heroes, our inspirations. They have been predicted to lose. They beat impossible feats of injustice, and yet their story becomes an inspiration, and an interesting one at that. But why? What is the power of the underdog? To start off, I'm going to look at underdogs from a sports perspective. A professor from Indiana University conducted a study. He asked fans from two basketball teams to watch the game together. After the game was over, he asked them to rate their chances of getting a date, throw a ball at a target, and solve equations. The fans of the winning team threw a ball at a target more accurately, solved more equations correctly, and gave themselves a higher chance of going on a date. Overall, the fans of the winning team felt like winners, and the fans of the losing team felt like losers. What the study proves is that a game, particularly one we are invested in, affects how we see ourselves. So why root for the losing team? If your favorite team continues to lose over and over again, why continue to root for them if you just feel worse and worse after every game? Maybe because the loss is inevitable. You can't be let down by a loss that you already knew was going to happen. The only feelings are a slight disappointment that comes from your predictions coming true, or an electric excitement that comes from a win that defies the odds. Personally, I've never really been that invested in sports. Though I love playing them, sitting through an entire game has always bored me. The only game I really watch is the Super Bowl. When choosing a team to root for, I usually choose the underdog. My thought process behind it is I'm not that invested in the game anyway, and they might as well have somebody in my corner. My dad, on the other hand, is a loyal sports fan. He's rooted for the Philadelphia Eagles all of his life, who always lose. Despite their losing streak, he continues to root for them. I wondered why, and thought it was more matter in pride in where you come from. But maybe it's also about the win. Imagine his excitement in seeing a team who never seems to pull through finally win. My dad put it as, you don't want to give up on them. It's about loyalty to your team. And if they do win, it'll be that much greater because I'll stuck with them through the hard times. A good example of a team who defied the odds with a win is the Chicago Cubs. I cannot imagine a Cubs fan excitement seeing a team who they stuck with through all the hard times finally win. Now the Cubs are no longer the underdogs, but champions. What happens when an underdog is no longer an underdog? When David beat Goliath, he became king. When the Cubs won that World Series game, they lost the title of lovable losers and gained the title champions. The 2016 season, they were predicted to win. In the 2017 season, they'll be playing as the newly crowned champions. Ted Slowick, however, from the Chicago Tribune, finds this win bittersweet. My excitement about seeing the Cubs play in the World Series is tempered by a profound sense of sadness. That after they win a championship, I'll lose one of the biggest reasons I cheered for them in the first place. By winning the World Series, the Cubs lost the pity vote, and maybe the thing that made their team so special. Now I'm going to step away from looking at underdogs from a sports perspective and look at what makes an underdog rise, using the real-world example of immigrants. Authors Amy Chua and Jen Rippenfield wrote a book called The Triple Package. They attributed an immigrant's success to three characteristics. Grouped together, they're called the Triple Package. The first characteristic is insecurity, or uncertainty about your own worth. This is obviously internalized in any immigrant coming to America. Nothing is set in stone as what is going to happen to you. Not to mention, upon arriving, you're faced with Americans who have been here for years prior, believing that you would not be able to succeed in America, nor would your culture add anything to American society. Instead of letting their newfound insecurity push them down, they used it as their motivator, to push them forward, and to prove to everyone who ever doubted them that they could in fact succeed in America. The next characteristic in the Triple Package directly contradicts the first. Superiority complex, or the belief in one culture's superiority. How could the Triple Package contain both a belief in one culture's superiority, but also its inferiority? Well, the immigrants came to America with a deep belief in their superiority. They believed deeply in their culture, And when faced with mockery and doubt about that culture, they didn't let it get them down. Instead, they persevered and preserved their beliefs. They used both insecurity and their superiority complex to drive them forward. They used it to motivate themselves to prove to everyone what they already knew, that their culture was in fact superior. The last characteristic in the triple package is impulse control. Walter Mischel conducted a study in the 1960s where he asked a group of 3 to 5-year-olds to eat a marshmallow. Simple enough. He placed a marshmallow in front of those 3 to 5-year-olds and told them that if they waited a couple minutes, they would receive a second marshmallow. Most of the toddlers grabbed the marshmallow right away, which I can understand, but those who waited didn't receive the second marshmallow. When following up with the children years later, Walter Mischel found that the kids who had waited for the second marshmallow received higher scores in the SATs than those who didn't. What this study proves is that impulse control led to other characteristics like determination, drive, perseverance. In conclusion, the triple package is a group of 3 characteristics. All 3 of these characteristics help the immigrants rise. That's interesting. They use impulse control to persevere, to push themselves forward, and they use insecurity and superiority as their motivators. Using all 3, they were able to push themselves forward, motivate themselves, and become successful in America. The power of the underdog. An underdog who rises becomes an inspiration. An underdog, they could become a hope to anybody still stuck with the odds stacked against them. Their story becomes an interesting one, as evident from all the TV shows, books, even bestsellers centered around an underdog. Because of all these reasons, I believe that the power of the underdog is the capability to rise and the capability for greatness. Thank you.